Hey everybody, Hoopla here, and in this video we're going to talk about some sound design tips and tricks to help you with your workflow and maybe some ideas for making some cool resamples and one-shots. For this tutorial I'm going to use Vital as my generator to make some source material, but you can basically use any synth or anything to make your source material. So we're going to start off with just a pretty basic sound. It doesn't need to be interesting or cool. It just has to be some sound with some variations that we can then further manipulate. And the whole idea of this kind of technique is kind of recursive sound design, as I like to call it, kind of resampling things into each other and using source material, whether that be from a mic, a synth, a stem, anything really. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that just by making a really quick and easy patch. Maybe we'll make something kind of bubbly. So I'm going to just attach an LFO to the pitch of a sine wave and maybe add some delay on synced. That kind of gives us some kind of like lasery kind of thing. So I'm going to pull this way down and have the range of this go all the way up, and I'm going to turn this to sample and hold so it's a different value every time I press my key, and also I can mess with this a little bit. So that's perfectly fine for some starting material. I'm going to go ahead and route my Vital into just a blank audio track down here, and I'm going to hit record while I mess with the patch so I can get all different types of sounds. I'm mostly just looking for variations and kind of interesting things that spark some ideas. So I'm also going to play some higher octaves and different notes on my keyboard to get some different pitches. Maybe mess with the LFO, wavetable. Now we can add some filtering. Okay, so not great, but it's a start, and that's basically all we need for this demonstration. Just gonna take this sound design clip that I just made, and I'm gonna go ahead and make another MIDI clip channel, and I'm gonna grab granulator 2, and you can use any granulator or any kind of thing, and you can even use Vital to maybe drop your sample into your wavetable, and you can find some interesting things and keep processing that way. But the idea stays the same, is taking a resample and putting it into something that can accept samples, manipulate samples. So here we're going to use granulator. I'm going to unarm my Vital, mute it, and turn on my granulator, and make sure this is still armed and has my granulator going into it. So I'm going to move this to the side so we can use this still, and there might be some interesting stuff in here, but the idea of this method is to just keep going with something and just finding things from randomization. So that's some kind of cool textures. The main three knobs you want to focus on with any granulator really are going to be the file position, the grain, and the spray. The spray is going to spray out the different grains. The file position is where you are in the sample, as you can see the little file position marker, and the grain, which is going to be how long each grain is. So we can get some kind of cool stuff with the spray down. Kind of some exponential stuff. So we're going to go ahead and resample that into this channel while we mess with it. And our playhead was playing over here, so I'm going to pull it back here and hit record again. And again, hitting different octaves and keys on my keyboard. I like the kind of sound of the stretching when you kind of do some grain size modulation. Just with my mouse, I'm doing that. You could also go ahead and write some interesting automation. If you have a clip here that you want to record, you could go ahead and one thing I've been liking to do, I'm enjoying doing, is taking the grid off momentarily while I have my pencil tool out. So on the Mac, if you hold Command while you have your pencil tool out, you can see the grid is still on. I'm holding Command right now, but only when I start drawing, it turns off the grid, so I can make these really interesting, cool LFO shapes just by hand. And this gives you a little bit of humanization to your randomization. So you can just kind of throw in some shapes in here, and that's going to modulate that. And we can go in here and do the same thing by holding Command with my pencil tool out. Alternatively, you could just hit Command 4 or Control 4 on a piece on Windows and turn off the grid momentarily. But it's nice to just be able to toggle it on and off by holding Command on a Mac. And another way you can get some kind of interesting shapes is using the Insert Shapes function. You can just kind of highlight a section you want and insert the shape you want. So it's really easy for just, if you want to ramp up, you don't have to make the whole ramp. You can just go ahead and click ramp and it will ramp up. Another cool thing is kind of using these little tabs for your automation. So you can squeeze automation and stretch it in interesting ways. So stretch it out, squeeze it down, kind of skew it to one side or another, so you can kind of do that thing, or interesting weird stuff. But that's some stuff to try out. Is definitely some interesting LFO shapes. See, when the grid is on, it's just going to step to different values. And even if I record myself moving this value, it's not going to be as smooth for some reason as this, which I've been really liking, because it's just really easy and smooth to do to get some interesting shapes. Okay, so for the next kind of part of this is we're gonna we could continue to granulate this more by putting this back into Granulator, just like so. And now we're granulating the granulated file, and we can go ahead and keep recording down like this and keep messing with our sample, and that's about it good. But here now we'll have kind of 3 different versions of sound design that are kind of increasing in weirdness, I guess. But from this point, I would maybe save these as just their entire resamples, but I also recommend building up a sample library of just one-shots and kind of things that you can throw in and use if you need, some kind of effects just to fill out some space. So here, for example, I'm gonna zoom in on this section right here. You can go through and find some parts that you really like. But here for this example, I'm just going to use this part just to show that it works on basically anything. So with the clip, you can go and hit Command A and Command L. That's a classic move, I believe from Mr. Bill. I learned it from Mr. Bill, to move your sample start in your clip, and then you can fish for a cool spot. So that's kind of cool, right? And from here we can do a few things. Is we can stretch it out. And one thing we can actually do is using hitting Shift, Option, and Command on a Mac. You get this kind of this cursor when you hover over the top here, and you can drag your sample out, and that works nicely. Or you could multiply it here and do stuff like that. But we're gonna stretch it all the way out and put it onto texture mode, kind of with the idea of granulizing stuff. And one thing that's kind of underrated is using the envelopes for your clip. And on texture mode, when you pitch it, you can get some pretty interesting stuff. So you can hear, maybe we do some. So that's kind of cool. That could be kind of a cool transition effect. And I can continue to manipulate it with more automation with the grain size. And that, of course, changes the whole volume and dynamics of the sound. And I can kind of tailor that how I want. If I'm in a track, or if I'm just in like a session like this, I might go ahead and hit Command J and kind of just save this part as just like a riser or a transition effect. You know, I might go sine texture riser 1, just so I can remember what it is. And if I search into my my search bar riser and go into my user library and my one shots and whatnot, I can just grab it there on the fly, and it's a unique sample that I made from scratch from this source material. And this is a really valuable way of building up your sample library, and I really recommend building up a library of resamples, one shots, drums, presets, anything that's going to help you throughout your production, and just stuff that you can grab and throw in on the fly that maybe is unique to your sound, because you know there's so many sample packs and stuff to grab, but your sample library is really going to be unique to you, and it's really fun and helpful to have stuff you can just grab on the fly. So that's going to be it for this tutorial, and I hope you try out this method, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks, take care.